Under the Dome Season 2, Episode 9, The Red Door. Now, this was an amazing episode. I definitely loved every part of it. It was a really fast paced episode, and I think that's why I loved it so much because it did a lot of the stuff that we wanted. It gave us some really interesting questions, especially the stuff with Melanie, but it was just fast paced. The beginning was sort of similar to how most episodes start off there, of course, establishing like the main story. But after that, it was just really fast paced. We find out the military isn't the military. It's actually Barbie's dad. His basically his strike force trying to figure out how to get information out of Barbie about the egg. And the one thing that does suck about this episode is that we still don't get the answer to the question of how they know about the egg. But I think we get a little hint towards the storyline that's gonna give us the answer, and I feel like it has to involve Melanie and Barbie's dad, whatever their connection was, which we only get through a little flashback. Whatever that random connection is, I think that's gonna lead to us figuring out how they know about the egg and who else might actually be involved and why they really want the egg. Because I'm sure part of it is trying to figure out how to stop the dome, but of course the real story behind it we haven't found out yet. But I definitely enjoyed that part, getting to know that the stuff about Melanie that came at the end, where we got a little hint in the beginning where she's like, I recognize that voice. And, that was really cool. I didn't expect that at all. But then the end of the episode, we find out that she actually met with Barbie when he was a little kid, when he put his handprint on the door. And initially, I don't know why, I just assumed that they were the same age. But we find out that she's older than Barbie is, and she was at his house for some reason. Her mother wanted her to meet him. So I don't know if they might actually be like stepbrother and stepsister, or what the deal might actually be. But hopefully we get the answer to that really soon. But that was a great connection. We got to see a bunch of characters: Barbie, Junior's mom, Sam, Lyle. I wish I really have to remember her name, but for some reason I can't. And they even got the tech guy. All of them get back into the dome. That was really cool to see at the end. Unfortunately, Lyle will be in there, I'm hoping at least, but we actually don't know if he made it or not. He might be stuck in some weird thing, but I feel like he's gonna make it because I couldn't possibly think of a reason why he would just be killed off or stuck somewhere random. But hopefully we'll get the answer to that next week as well. We get Big Jim learning all the secrets. He knew about the egg, so he finds out about that. He finds out about Barbie being alive. He tries to make a deal with the people and wants to go steal the egg, and then it's basically stolen from Julia, so he doesn't know where it's at. Julia doesn't know where it's at. The only two people that do are Melanie and Junior, and they're getting fairly close, and they even sort of push that as a part of next week's episode during the trailer, because they kiss and then he sees a ghost of Angie. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. And speaking of Angie, we get to see Barbie and Sam encounter each other after finally being outside of the dome, and that was still a really great scene. Nothing super dramatic happened because they were around a ton of other people, so they didn't actually get into the fight that I would have expected. But Barbie does not waste any time telling everybody what Sam did when he killed Angie, so I really enjoyed that scene, and it'll be interesting to see how things play out with that knowledge floating around through like a handful of people that are there now. And it'll really be interesting if Lyle does make it into next week's episode, because he's going to be kind of the main one, because everyone thinks it's Lyle, at least Junior still does. And when he finds out it's Sam, things are going to really switch up, and it might even affect Big Jim. I don't really know, but it could affect him because he never really liked Sam to begin with. They always had their issues as well. But that was a great part in the episode. I'm really excited for next week. We got to see a cool moment in the beginning where Rebecca tells Big Jim like she's gonna help him out, and then she actually helps out Julia. So that was pretty cool to see that. Big Jim is kind of on his own now, but he ran into his wife at the end of the episode. I don't know how long everyone being back is gonna be kept a secret. Everyone knows that, of course, Junior's mother's dead. Everyone thinks that Barbie died as well. Sam is gone, so those three people coming back, as well as Lyle actually. So all four of them, and then this random guy that no one's ever seen, they all have to really be careful as to who actually runs into them. So it could lead into some interesting dialogue in next week's episode when we get some random confrontations where it's like you're either dead or you don't really exist in the city, or you've been gone for, you know, however many days it's been. I think it's only been like 2 days or so. But none of them can really be spotted by anyone because everyone knows they're either dead or missing. So it'll be really cool to see how things play out in next week's episode, especially with the new character. I think he's going to kind of stick to Sam because he doesn't really know his way around the city, get lost, and who knows what could happen there. So I feel like he's going to end up sticking with Sam. But I'm really excited for next week's episode. I love this one. The door that let them back was just a cellar. For some reason, I thought that was Barbie's mother's grave. I thought that that's what that was. That's why it was like a red door. And I didn't notice in the last or the first time they showed it, there were vines over it. I thought that it was just through the woods a little bit, but in this episode, you see it's actually vines on it, which is why I thought it was like a special sort of tomb or crypt for Barbie's mother. I don't know why I thought that because it still doesn't really make any sense, but that's what I thought that was. But it turns out to just be a cellar that let them back. They haven't been found out. I don't know if that's going to change in future episodes where someone actually does find the portal, but I'm definitely excited for next week's episode. It looks like things do get kind of crazy. Like there's going to be a dome earthquake. That's how it looked, at least in some of the scenes where stuff was falling around. They also had the scene where Sam had like a bloody nose. It looked like he was like someone was standing over him. I couldn't really tell in the quick scene, but the answer might come out. He might get busted in next week's episode, and it'll either be Junior or it might be Big Jim. But odds are it'll probably be Junior, and he will kind of not take that too well, and he might jump his uncle. So we'll have to wait and see. But overall, I definitely loved the episode. It was really fast paced. It didn't waste any time. It combined the stories with Sam and Lyle and them finding the red door and finding out it was the wrong one, and then running into Barbie, and of course they have a connection to the tech guy, so that blended all the stories together really quick. And then basically the last 20 or so minutes of the episode was them getting back in and us seeing some of the other things that were happening both inside and outside the dome. So I love the episode, really fast paced. It was a good one that they honestly, I feel like they really could have split this episode up if they wanted to. But fortunately, they didn't, and they were just like, hey, they've been outside the dome for 2 episodes now. Let's blend the stories together and just shoot them back in, because honestly, them going back into the dome is actually more exciting than them being outside, because now they're back in, and they have to do even more crazy stuff, and they have a woman who everyone thought was dead for 9 years, who everyone knows within the city because she was married to basically like the most popular guy in town because he ran the car dealership. So she's been dead for 9 years. Her brothers come back. Barbie's come back to life. Lyle's come back. And then there's this random guy. So I'm very excited for next week's episode. It was great how they just flew through everything. And of course, comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And what do you guys think is going to happen next week? I mean, we saw the ending where Big Jim runs into his wife. So, of course, we're going to get that. In the preview, they had Julie and Barbie meeting up. They had, I guess, Ghost Angie coming back, which isn't too different from when Big Jim saw the woman that he killed. I can't think of her name now. But the woman that he killed, she came back as a ghost too. But that was a little different because it was kind of just there to taunt him because he actually murdered her. And in this case, it's just Junior liking another girl. So I don't know how it's really going to affect him. But what do you guys think is going to happen in next week's episode? Comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.